I forgot to do my Instagram. Hi, everyone. This is only our second ever live broadcast. Give me 1 second. I have to set up the Instagram broadcast. Hello, everyone, assuming that we are actually
Hello,
live.
hello.
Um, so this is, here we go. Okay. So this is live on YouTube, Facebook. I spit on the name, dead to me. Do you know why, Shady? Did you
Yeah, I
hear
heard
that?
about
Yeah.
it.
They won't let me
Tragedy.
post my sketches. And listen, we haven't started the podcast yet. You know what? Let me save this for the podcast. So I'm assuming that we're live. And on
Allegedly.
Instagram, you guys won't see the fancy graphics and stuff, but at least you're not using Facebook. At least that is not the hell that is your life. Um, I I feel like I'm handling it really well.
You
Everything that's
are.
been going on with Facebook. Okay, so let's move this out of the shot. I don't know. Is this we're working on
That's fine, right? I think
this
that's fine.
mess? Okay, we will. I will count down from 5, and then we'll begin episode 63 of the This Is Jen podcast. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to This Is Jen, episode 63 for the entire month of May and maybe beyond. We are doing this podcast live on Instagram, YouTube, and Dead to Me Facebook. Very excited to have you with us. I remind you that I am getting close to 1,000 reviews on iTunes. And I've been telling you guys that the first 1,000 reviewers of this podcast on iTunes if there's ever a favor I can do for you, hook you up with something, I will do that. It is also the best way to get in touch with me. I've made what people think, what they erroneously perceive are jokes about how like literally leaving a review of this podcast on iTunes is better for getting in touch with me than texting. But seriously, I read everyone. And someone the other day was like, I feel like Jen will read this because she said she would. Yes, I read that. So I have also often said that leaving a review of the This Is Jen podcast on iTunes, if you're in the first 1,000 and I can ever do you a favor, I will. I hooked someone up with something the other day, and because they said they were like, I was one of your first 1,000 reviewers, but we're getting close. You're about to miss. You're about to miss the cutoff for that. Let's begin by you'll hear me complaining about Facebook a lot today because this is important to me. This is, it's my mission in life really is to complain about Facebook. So what happened for those of you who didn't see the previous live I did, they won't let me post my sketches. I don't know what's going on. I can go
Rude.
live and I can post pictures and I can post text, but no sketches. Now, I do have one theory. Welcome to the broadcast, Shady Ray.
Hello.
I'm still getting used to being live on 3 different platforms at once. There's one theory that about why perchance, um, I haven't been able to post sketches. I don't think this is it. I actually think it's just that platform being terrible. It's like it's, the Facebook
Boo.
mission statement. Um, but there could be that one of the last sketches I posted before I lost the ability to post sketches was I implied that I burned down the mansion of the Pornhub CEO. And I said, like, hey, maybe we'll bring the arsonist to justice using the same methods that they used for the human traffickers they knew that these human traffickers were exploiting children and certainly women on their website, and they did nothing about it. So let's just hope the arsonist is brought to justice, as swiftly as they helped bring the human traffickers to justice. So I did that, and I kind of implied that I was the one who burned it down. It was fun. That's fun, Who doesn't want to see a sketch about porn and arson, right?
I do.
That's what, right. I mean, when I open up my social media apps, I'm like, I want to see
Where is
sketches
it?
about,
Where is it?
yeah, porn and arson. I think that they're classic topics, like Johnny Carson, that was his go-to, like porn, arson. It was the whole thing. Oh, put our little what episode it is down there. So now what you're missing on Facebook is I just did a sketch that involved my two daughters. We were here at the studio late last night. Two of my daughters were here, and I had one of them stand on a stool and take a big bag of bread and pour it over my head. And have you seen that sketch yet?
Yeah, I watched it.
Okay, it's about Gwenyth Paltrow saying she gave up bread, and I thought it was. We spent like 30 minutes on it. I mean, it was just a quick like, why not stuff cupcakes into my mouth and have my daughter pour a massive bag of bread over my head? The things you don't think about though are I had to clean it up. Well, you would think about that. I didn't think about that. That now you have to clean it up because you did that. And so that was a lot. And that for every sketch I do, there's this cost benefit ratio of, is this is this worth it? Like buying cupcakes and stuffing them in my mouth,
yes,
and getting it in my hair. And it was in the Hostess cupcake filling. It was all over my face. And then on top of that, I had bread dumped on top of me. And it's, and that's the thing, boy, let me tell you, you never love it when your content doesn't get good engagement, but when you do something like that and it doesn't get good engagement, I mean, you just want to commit seppuku. You understand how in feudal Japan, they were just like, you have brought so much dishonor upon yourself that the only solution is to disembowel yourself. And you see how they got there when you do something like that. You cover yourself in Hostess cream puffs, and then it doesn't get good engagement. I haven't checked the engagement. I think it's good. But, if not, I won't be in a good place. But that brings us to, we always talk about current events on this fine, fine show. And so that brings us to the fact that that's a real story, that Gwenyth Paltrow said that during quarantine, things got so bad that she ate bread and she drank alcohol.
What?
Yes, she did. She said that she made mixed drinks like sometimes 7 days a week, and she ate bread.
Not me.
And that'll make you feel good about yourself when like a celebrity's low point. What did we figure out how you pronounce this word? Nadir. I always thought it was nadir, but it's nadir, and I don't like that pronunciation. It means low point.
It's nadir.
Yeah, right. It's nadir. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. I'm taking this back. The nadir of her life is like a Tuesday for me. I mean, the eating bread and drinking alcohol, that's my, I mean, that's kind of my, those are my core values.
Hobbies?
Yeah. And she said, her quote, I have it right here. Her quote is that she went off the rails. So this has hit the news. So off the rails.
Chugga-choo, dude.
Yeah. Gwenyth Paltrow says she went off the rails during lockdown and ate bread. Paltrow told the Smartless podcast that she'd been enjoying alcohol over the past year, explaining that during quarantine, I was drinking 7 nights a week and making pasta and eating bread. Can you imagine? Get this woman under control. Making pasta and eating bread?
Noodles.
Oh.
Noodles, dude.
Well,
get you.
It could have
Noodles will get you.
It could have been macaroni. Let's not judge. Do we know? Do we know that it was definitely noodles? We don't know. So I was drinking 7 nights a week and making pasta and eating bread. That's it. Finally, she was living her best life.
I was going to say, that sounds great.
She says, I went totally off the rails. She continued that her tipple of choice. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a British publication. Her tipple of choice.
What does that even mean?
Say that on a live podcast?
I don't even know what it means.
Her tipple of choice was a concoction of her own making. She says, I love whiskey. Now, you might think for a minute, Gwenyth Paltrow is actually about to be relatable for 2 seconds. Okay. She loves whiskey. Who among us doesn't love a bit of whiskey, right?
Right.
I mean, I can have like 2 sips before I wish that I could be a whiskey drinker. I'm not man enough for that. But you might think that Gwenyth is about to be relatable here for just a second. And but no, she makes this fantastic drink called Buster Paltrow, which she named after her grandfather. That's sweet. And she makes it with quinoa whiskey. And that's a Quinoa. That's how you pronounce that,
I didn't
right?
know that was a thing.
Isn't that is that how you pronounce
Quinoa?
that?
I think so.
That
I
grain
think
of
I've only eaten
quinoa,
it
or
one
it's
time.
not a grain. It's like little healthy lumps of things that healthy
Quinoa.
people eat. So of course she drank quinoa. Like that would be like saying you drank soy whiskey. This is self-parody. This is self-parody at this point. She clarified that she had not been getting blackout drunk, but confessed that drinking also made her miss having a cigarette. You want to be like Gwenyth, Gigi. I'm making up nicknames for her. Gwen.
Gwen, I like that.
Gigi, G-Dog.
G-Dog.
Look, live a little. You know, if I were that rich, do you know what I'd do with my time? If I were that rich, because she comes from a rich family too, right? Wasn't her dad a famous actor?
I don't know anything
this
about
isn't
her.
like a self-made, pulled myself up from my bootstraps. Like I think we're talking generational wealth upon generational wealth. She's like, I wasn't getting blackout drunk. I don't know. I mean, I know, like, I don't recommend it, but
why not? Just kidding.
Shady said it, not me. Look, I'm just saying that if I had a chauffeur and 5 nannies for my 2 kids and a cook, I'm not saying it would never happen. And I am saying that she definitely needs to loosen up. And sometimes when you're trying to make a change, sometimes you do go too far the other direction and you have to overcorrect and then you have to rein it back in. So I'm just saying she shouldn't put limits on herself. She says in January she decided to turn things around. And now she says everything I'm doing feels good, like a gift to my body. I have energy. I'm working out in the mornings, and I'm doing an infrared sauna as often as I can, all in service of heating. Like, why can't you do a normal sauna? We've had saunas for, there were, Roman bathhouses. Well, I think that, that served a different purpose, but people have been getting in warm rooms for a long time, but of course she has to do infrared.
Just come hang out in my house.
But her skin is looking great. She says, wants to make her double down on skincare even more. Let's make 2021 the year of never needing makeup, people, Gwenyth Paltrow says. No, what? No. Are you kidding? Like, how could I? No, like smoky eye is life. What are you talking about? Like that, even if you don't need makeup, it's just fun. It's just fun to wear makeup. So she said, okay, so she basically feels like she went just totally off the rails for eating bread and having some alcohol. And this is the reason why this story resonates with me and why I ended up having my children pour bread on top of my head as a sketch that I just had to do that. I used to put a lot of rules on myself eating wise that perhaps did not need to be there. Of course, like anyone else, someone on Instagram says we are the worst generation. Yes, indeed. Well, I'd actually, we have some tough competition there. I used to put limits on myself in terms, I was always doing Whole30s and things like that. And did they make me feel better? Have you ever done one of those?
Mm-mm.
You've never done a Whole30?
Mm-mm.
Have you done anything? Like, did you have a vegan phase? Like anything? You've just always been a normal. Okay, Shady Ray.
I do like juice and tea cleanses.
What's a cleanse? Like you only do juice and tea?
So, well, you have juice and tea with every meal, and your meals just have to be like raw veggies, like unprocessed, fully like as raw.
Okay, so you ruin your life with diet too.
Yeah.
Like it's not just okay. So Shady Ray can definitely relate. So friends, I've done a lot of these, and I guess they help, but it's like, so here's the thing. You have to think about the cost benefit ratio. You have to think about is the health, assuming you don't have some autoimmune condition but obviously if you have a medical condition, that's a different story, an allergy, whatever. But a lot of us we kind of, I used to just get it in my head that I had to do all of this stuff. And I guess I felt marginally better. But I've come up with a theory that I think one of the reasons that I felt better was because I was because I was finally taking action to do just something. And I think that I had felt stuck in my life with food, with just a lot of things. And so I was finally taking action to at least make some kind of change, to do something. And I really believe that part of the positive health benefit that I felt was that I needed a challenge. And I think that I could have done, well, like actually, another thing I meant to bring up, I painted these studio walls. You might have noticed last week, it looked like we were broadcasting from the future. It looked like we were broadcasting from a mad scientist laboratory in 3021 instead of 2021. Those of you listening on audio, that's what it looked like last week. It was a white wall, but it had a wave pattern. And because we hit it with some awesome uplights that were awesome, but they caused a lot of contrast. And basically, I mean, it was really like you would expect that this is our intergalactic message. Shady and I have been banished to the Andromeda galaxy. I mean, that is, am I not nailing it? That's what it looked like. For those of you on audio who didn't see last week and can't see this one, it was like you would expect us to be like, help us. We're 50,000 light years away, and we're coming to you from the mad scientist planet. Yeah, right. Well, no, we're not the mad scientists, so we wouldn't say wahaha.
I wanted to do
but
that.
Yeah. But we do have a scary music sound effect now. I think that's sad. Oh no, that's good. Yeah. Okay. So that's what it looked like. Now what I did is I just really spontaneously, Shady was here Friday, and I was like, I'm painting this wall. And to the untrained eye, that could have seemed like a terrible idea because, Shady was like, oh, I didn't know about painting. I didn't know about painting walls. I didn't know about painting porous 3D tiles. And she was actually right that I didn't. But I thought, how hard can it be? How hard can it be? You get the paint and you put it on the things. It's not hard. So for those of you on audio, I got kind of is this periwinkle blue, Shady?
I would periwinkle it. Yeah, I would call it that.
Periwinkle is now a verb. Welcome to the This Is Jen podcast, episode 63. Periwinkle is now a verb. So I got a blue. It's like the blue of the ocean at sunset, but not in the tropics. In Rhode Island, because in the tropics it's like a jewel blue. So this is like if you were to be like sailing outside of Boston, it's that color.
Okay, that checks out.
Right, it is. I'm right. Everyone's like, she's blowing my mind with the accuracy. She's blowing our minds. So I just went, first you guys might have seen on Instagram stories. First we went and we got a bunch of different paint colors and we tested them. And I just made an instant decision. And then I just started painting, and I didn't intend to spend my Friday doing that. And it was arduous. It was an arduous endeavor, but I got it done. And I have to say, I felt better. I was energized. It just felt good to push myself to my limits, to set a goal and achieve it. I think that it wakes you up in life. It makes you feel alive to have a goal, to set that goal and to achieve it. And I suspect that in a lot of the life-ruining diets that I have done in the past, I kind of wonder if perchance, part of the benefits I was feeling from the Whole30, from the P90X. No, I'm just kidding. I never did P90X. Are you kidding? Can you imagine me 2 seconds into a P90X? Are you kidding? Like, for me, exercise. Yeah. Do that. Hit whatever sound effects you feel moved to hit. Shady.
I did the wah-wah.
Yeah, but so I would do Whole30s and juice cleanses and stuff. And I truly believe that part of what I was feeling is that I needed to be challenged. And I suspect that part of what Gwenyth Paltrow does with her crazy diet stuff that she does. And then did you hear Shady? I referenced this in my sketch. So maybe lie to me and say that you heard this, because I am going to seem super weird if you didn't hear this.
All right.
Did you know that Gwyneth Paltrow released a candle that she said is scented like
Yeah.
Okay,
did.
go. Thank you for stopping me.
Someone
before I had to say
commented
it.
about it too.
So okay, good. Good. I'm glad that these are the kind of comments.
They said during that time is when the candles came out, is when she was drinking and eating all the bread.
Oh, really?
It
Well,
got
I
her
sort
all
of
out of
suspected that
whack,
maybe
man.
that's why she was doing the candles, because she's
know.
bored. She's bored. Because so another thing you may have noticed from my sketches lately is I'm really nailing, I think I'm nailing the evolutionary psychology humor genre. And that's a hot genre, is it not? I mean, everyone's like, gosh, can we just get a comic whose thing is kind of evolutionary psychology? I think that's a hot genre. And I'm glad to be in it. I'm glad to be pioneering it. So some people have asked, like with some of the motherhood sketches I've done, and the ones about how women were designed to need help and stuff like that, people have asked how I got into that. And because I understandably, that's just not what anyone expected when I first started doing it. So I took historical anthropology in college. I mean, like honors classes. I thought I was going to major in that. And so I actually studied this stuff at the college level. And so that's why you always hear me making references to what human beings are designed to need. Let's look at all of human history. Let's look at the way that because if you look at I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go into this a whole tangent where this podcast is turning into a course on human evolutionary psychology, but truly you never know. You never know what you're going to get with this podcast. But here we are. So we are like, if you look at all of human history, if this if this notebook were to be all of human history, and this is the line, we are living at like the tip tail end of it. There's been a lot of human history. And so it was always naturally interesting to me to say, what did God design us to need? God put in process this system of human development. And so obviously, but grace builds on nature, God works through nature. And so we see this, that humans evolve to need different things depending on what their circumstances are and blah, blah, blah. Well, the circumstances we live in the modern world are very, very, very unlike the circumstances that humans encountered for 99.99% of human history. And for those of you just joining us, I don't know how we got here either, but here we go. So, so the circumstances we live in today are very unnatural. And the human body and the human mind is designed to deal with really a lot of stress. Some of the historical anthropology stuff I read about in college, it was like, what a nightmare to be a prehistoric person. I would not want to live in Babylon in 4000 BC, because what a mess that was. It was just all this work, and like nobody lived past age 35. And like you could have this mercurial king who just like feels like killing you, so he kills you and nobody cares. I mean, it was just very interesting to me to look back at human history and how stressful the average person's life was at really any other point in human history, except for where we are today. Like I said in an early podcast episode, when I was going off on someone who was talking about how like women in history were always stay-at-home moms. It's like, no, the economy isn't what it is today. No. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I was like, you know what? No, men and women, they both had one label for their parenthood. They were try not to die today parents. That's what they all were. There was no, like, what do you think the economy was in like 1000 AD? That like the man went down to his medieval law firm, and like the mom was like watching Dr. Phil, except it was the year 1000. So it was just a guy named Phil standing outside of her window. Like, how do you think this works? No, everyone all day just tried not to die. That's all they did all day long. There was none of this distinction. Okay. So anyway, that's how I first got into that. The point is, and believe it or not, I actually know where I'm going with this. I always land the plane. The point is that we are not designed to live in the amount of comfort and luxury that we live in. We're not designed for that. And so I believe that sometimes we create our own problems. And I mean, if you follow my Instagram stories, like we meaning me, boy, if like everything I'm ever talking about on social media is not a self-created problem. Whew, I believe that sometimes we meaning me, we create our own problems because it is almost comforting. Your primal brain recognizes that it's experiencing an unnatural level of comfort, and your primal brain still thinks that you're out on the savannah somewhere. It thinks you're a caveman, and it's like imagine if you were to be a prehistoric person, like you're a caveman and you're walking around and you're just out, and keep in mind, there's no way to store food. There's no food storage. Like when the winter comes, you're just, best of luck to you finding some berries. You're probably going to die, but and animals are always trying to attack you. And imagine that as, you're a prehistoric man and you're like, I feel like everything's fine. I feel like life is great. I'm just blessed. And I just, I'm just walking around out here. Winter's coming. And, but I feel like I'll have food. I'll probably have food. I'll, probably won't get like an illness that, there's no modern medicine. So I'll just have to see how that works out. Probably won't be attacked by an animal. No, your brain would be like, you're wrong. You're wrong. This is totally wrong. You have a lot of problems and you're just not acknowledging them. And these are urgent problems and you need to fix them. You need to go forage for food, invent the wheel if that hasn't been done yet. Like you need a lot of things to not die, because you're at the ripe old age of 22 based on life expectancy. You got like 4 more hours to live. So Shady, are people with me or have I lost them with this?
I don't know. I was listening, but I almost hit you with the crickets just because I thought it would be funny.
Okay.
But
no, you can't. No, only you could do laughter. You could hit us with the laugh.
I did the scary one when you were talking like how they were probably scared.
We just got new sound effects. Please excuse us as
I'll give us a laugh.
Just add them all to the podcast. So, okay, I will now concisely summarize my point. Your primal brain is uncomfortable if you feel like you have no problems. It signals to you, like, no, you must, like, probably like a rabid squirrel is going to come at you and attack you. You don't know. You have problems. You just don't know, because it doesn't know that we live in 2021 when things are relatively easy. So that is why Gwenyth Paltrow makes candles scented like a certain part of the female anatomy, because it's like she's trying to, she knew subconsciously that would get a backlash. She's trying to create problems for herself, not eating bread, not hitting the quinoa whiskey. She's trying subconsciously to create problems for herself, or be like, I can't eat bread because all these bad things will happen, even though I don't think she's been diagnosed with like any, real issues with gluten. And I used to do this too. Like you get yourself all spun up and convinced that you have these problems that maybe it's a problem, but like it's not as big of a deal as you are making it. I'm not saying that there were no advantages to my foray into doing Whole30s and things like that. Certainly, yes, it helps. But I have gotten a lot of the same health benefits in terms of just feeling better. I just had my whole blood work done, which is how we diagnose the vitamin B12 and vitamin D deficiencies that I was talking about a couple episodes ago. That my blood work is great. Like what's interesting is my blood work is like the same or better as when I was constantly putting all these I can't eat this and I can't eat that, and I have to do organic this and I have to do juice that. My blood work is better now. And you guys saw the video. I'm like shoving Hostess cupcakes in my mouth. And so I think that a lot of the benefits were just kind of creating problems, because your brain is not designed to relax. Your brain is not designed for comfort and ease. Do you think people followed me on that?
I think so.
Does that
people
make sense?
Were saying they were following you.
Okay, good. Oh, good. Yeah. Okay. Shady is monitoring your comments. I get too distracted. So Shady, if you say something truly stellar that must be a part of this podcast, Shady, it has to be dope. That's right. Shady will let me know if there are any dope comments. And I've been sort of glancing at Instagram, but occasionally someone will say something creepy. So I try. Sorry, guys. I'll look back at your Instagram comments when I'm not live. Okay. Now I have a choice. We could either, let me see where we are on time. We could either talk about oh, they're all so good. Okay, last week we talked about Elon Musk hosting SNL, and he did host SNL. I really want to follow up on that, but look, there's just something urgent that we have to discuss. And I feel like if I don't hit it this week, I just might, I don't know, I might not be bold enough. Now, Shady, would you I'm going to play something without context. This is a celebrity. So Shady, get ready to try screen share. Normally I do this. Here, take off the episode. Bear with us. This is only the second time we've ever been like, yeah, take off that. Okay, now do the screen share, and audio people, you guys will be able to hear this. Do the oh, I don't want viewers to hear who this is. Do that one. Okay, I think they heard. But I just want to play a clip without context. Instagram people, you'll be able to look this up.
It didn't ask me the share audio question this time. Is it still set from last time?
No, it's not. You'll have to go to Chrome tab. So here, I can share this one because you guys can't miss this. We just want to make sure that we get this right. So I am going to ask you to just guess who this is. If you don't know, there's the share audio done.
Oh, God.
If you don't know who this is, I'm going to ask you to guess. Okay, let's just play.
Adele. You know, say me a prayer from long time, but after me see a picture of that, it's sweet me.
I think there's no profanity in this. I'm sorry if I'm wrong.
Fit you. Big up yourself. And
oh, here we'll pause this music as quickly as we can so that I don't get demonetized on YouTube for the, we try to do that in every episode. It's a little tradition. So you might have heard, those of you on audio, that is a Jamaican patois accent. So you might have been wondering what Jamaican gentleman. Yeah, imagine if you didn't see the video, Shady. Imagine just hearing that and thinking what Jamaican gentleman is speaking to us here, is addressing us. He seems to have some things to share. So that is Tom Hanks' son. Did you know that, Shady? That is Tom Hanks from the movie. The movie Big, where like Tom Hanks was like, oh, he's a boy, and then he becomes an adult, and now he's
kind of creepy, but
yeah, you're right. It was. You're right. Yeah. That's one of those movies. It wouldn't play today. It wouldn't. He's like, oh, I just want to hang out with kids, and I'm a grown man. It would not. Innocent times back then. So Chet Hanks, that's him that you just heard. And when this is out, we don't just go live. We publish these episodes, so you'll be able to look back. That is Tom Hanks' son, and you might have thought that he was speaking on a lark in this patois accent, but no. Alas, he speaks that way all the time. And then he did a video now, and I can't play this. I subjected my eyes to this whole video to try to play it for you. And there's nothing that's not filthy. So I will just describe it to you. He did a video for a song. I forget what the name of the song is, but he did a video where the name of the song, or at least the vibe of the song, is White Boy Summer. White Boy Summer. That's what, and I think that's either the name of the song or it's a major theme of this. It's a thematic. He puts thematic. White Boy Summer. He actually did that. And then, but then he brings in women of all nations and of all backgrounds to objectify. So that, and I can't play it because just imagine, I mean, don't imagine this, but don't imagine
I'm imagining
women in thong bikinis. Just shaking it everywhere, particularly in Tom Hanks' son's face. Imagine that. Just try to.
Did Tom raise him?
Right, he did.
What happened?
Yes, Tom Hanks
Tommy.
raised him. Yeah, okay. So
Tom.
actually, this actually brings us to a very interesting question. So yeah, well, evidently they put him in some kind of um they put him in some kind of like scared straight program where he went off to one of these places where like he's in a cabin. Chet, his son, was in a cabin and like woken up in the middle of the night and like thrown out and made to march
what
around a
did
field.
it.
So that I know, and that's what I think. Like that's what I think is that I
Tom.
know that parents sometimes you get desperate with a kid and you think that maybe you need to do the scared straight program, but I don't know. I mean, unless they are actually like smoking a crack pipe in your house, I think maybe don't do the scared straight program because then you'll have okay, we have a comment that says women in thong bikinis is my gay nightmare. Welcome to the This Is
Thank
Jen
you,
podcast.
David.
Thank you, David. So you will end up, if you send your kids to a scared straight program, you will end up with white boys who write songs called White Boy Summer while speaking in a Jamaican patois accent. And and again, he is willing to objectify women of all nations. And
Willing.
right, yeah. He's very equal opportunity with the women who can hang out in thongs around him and dance in his videos. And I'm surprised he's getting away with this. I thought we'd, you know who he got White Boy Summer from? You know who started that? He's totally ripping off. Is it Christopher Columbus started White Boy? I mean, we've had enough White Boy Summer. Like especially with last summer, like, is there not maybe an awareness that white boys could take a break, like let someone else have a summer? But no,
down.
he's speaking in a Jamaican accent and he's just doing this. And so I didn't intend to make the point about the tough love program, but it's, perhaps worth thinking about that kind of thing. Yeah, does not tend to work that well. But here is, he is oddly inspiring to me. He is an odd kind of inspiration to me because it just goes to show that when you fully lean into your quirky self, when you fully embrace that and you're just like I'm weird, I'm Tom Hanks' son and I speak like a Jamaican and I talk about White Boy Summer, even though that's like what nobody wants to hear about right now. It can actually sort of work. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's like the best idea anyone has ever had. Like, I don't recommend it. But what is weird to me is that people don't hate him as much as you would think they are morally obliged to hate him.
Is it a bit though?
Is it? Well, that's the thing is, okay, I also thought is that everyone has been waiting. Anyone who's been following this, we've all been waiting to see, is this a bit? And we assumed it was when you see him talking to Adele.
Apparently Adele got in trouble for the same thing.
Well, I don't think she was speaking in the accent that Shady's reading the comment. No, I don't. I think Adele just dressed up in Jamaican garb and also a bikini. And she did her hair in kind of like dreadlocks and braids. But yeah, okay. But that's what's kind of weird is she was also appropriating Jamaican culture. But Chet Hanks is just going all the way. And like, he didn't get the same backlash. And maybe the problem is that Adele didn't lean into it enough. Maybe she should have done that. Maybe she should have done the whole thing. She just didn't lean into it enough. It is shocking to me. I'm not saying that Chet Hanks has had no backlash, but that we as a people, we as a world community seem to be in awe of the, like, we're all kind of in shock. And so we're just watching this Chet Hanks spectacle play out. And we're just sort of in awe and we have an odd amount of admiration for the idea of just, if you're going to do something, if you're going to be your quirky self, you might as well go all the way. You might as well double down and do it to the full 100%.
Own it.
Right. Because here's the thing. I know this from experience. People will hate on you even when you're not doubling down. With plenty of the things that I've done where I kind of played it safe, I still get haters. I still get people telling me I suck and, whatever. Like and in fact, the more I just be crazy and double down and Chet Hanks the situation. Okay, Shady just dropped off the screen. That's fine. This is the peekaboo episode of, okay. Oh, I dropped them. Oh, is Instagram, does this help? Okay, Instagram. I'm sorry. Instagram people were saying something about there being a problem. The mic fell down. Okay, I bet this is a lot better. Okay, I'll get a better mic holder for next episode. So oddly enough, if you're ever worried about people judging you or just not being accepted, or people not, just people not being welcoming to you, the more that you just own who you are and really kind of let loose. I mean, just really be like, if you are Chet Hanks' son and you want to talk about white boy summer, like you just do it and you own it. And he seems to trust his own heart that he's not a racist man, that he truly loves all people. And so he kind of has this attitude of, I know that I'm here to dance with women of, of all backgrounds and make profane videos with them and all that. And I know that White Boy Summer is not about excluding anyone. It's about, welcoming other people into whatever we're doing this summer. And he seems to kind of trust that. And as someone, you guys know my background, like I moved around a lot when I was a kid. So I was perpetually the new student. So I have spent a lot of time in life trying to figure out how to, okay, we're still having mic issues on Instagram. We'll see if this helps. And if not, I'll fix it in another episode. I have spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to get people to connect with you and to resonate with you and frankly, to accept you, not to straight up reject you. Like I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out how not to be rejected. And what's interesting is, ironically, the more you just say, this is who I am and I'm kind of weird and, it is what it is. And I'm not asking for acceptance. And I'm just going to be my full quirky self, warts and all. I'm just letting it all hang out. The more you lean into that, the more acceptance you will receive. Have you found that as well, Shady? That the more then meanwhile, when you try to play it safe and you think, maybe if I hold back, maybe if I'm not my true self, maybe if I don't put my full self into this and you try to hold back, ironically, that's when you will receive most rejection. I think people almost, I hate to say it, but I think in some social groups that, anything from your kid's school to just wherever, I think that when people sense weakness, there's almost they almost feel like a sense of revulsion to that. And it makes it sound like we're just like pack animals or something, but I think there is actually
like,
a little,
what's going on with that?
Yeah,
what's going on there?
They sense that you're here's the word. They sense that your vibes.
Your vibes,
just like your micro expressions, your body language, like all of that.
Well, you're more nervous when you're trying to hide like your true, like more anxiety comes up through that.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Yeah. I bet that people register almost like distrust. That's what it is. I think that people sense when they know that they are not seeing the real you. Subconsciously, I think that they kind of think, I don't know if I can trust this person because this is obviously not who they are.
It's a facade.
It's a facade. Yes, it's a facade. Oh, creepy music. Wait, I'll say it again. Ready?
Go ahead.
It's a facade.
I like that.
That was good. Oh, the professionalism of this podcast. It truly
push that button.
Knows no bounds. Right. So I think that people sense that. And so, whenever you're in situations that cause you anxiety, and I would say this even applies to your kids. I think that sometimes we're tempted to be a little bit fake, maybe with our kids, to I don't know, to be who we think we're supposed to be for them. And obviously there are limits. I'm not suggesting that we just let it all hang out with our kids. There are limits, certainly. But I think that some of us err too much on the side of putting, facade. Yeah, the sound effect again. We err too much on the side of facade. And whether it's with your kids, whether it's with your parents, whether it's with your neighbors, whether it's with the other parents at the kids' school, and whether it's on social media, trying to be the person you think they want you to be, trying to be the person you think you're supposed to be, will not do you any favors. And in fact, will make you just totally on a subconscious level seem like you are maybe not trustworthy. So that and again, I've found that over and over again the hard way. So how is the we're about to wrap up here. How have the live broadcasts gone? Are we still live? This is still...
We're still live. I think everything looks,
all right,
it
great.
looks live.
Well, thank you all for your comments. At least for the month of May, we are doing this live every Tuesday at 2:30 East, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. We are still working out the technical details. This is only the second time that we have done this. So bear with us as I know we had some issues on Instagram getting that connection to work, mainly because I dropped the Instagram microphone. I will just tell you that broadcasting 3 different places is not the easiest thing in the world, but it's going surprisingly smoothly. And we should have this running like a well-oiled machine within the next few weeks as we continue to do this. Don't forget to leave a review on iTunes, and I do bonus content on Patreon. Hit the Patreon banner. I do bonus content on Patreon. Right now I do a whole separate podcast there that's behind the scenes. It's like what's, kind of intimate stuff that I don't want all over the internet. So I do that podcast, and we are thinking about other stuff we can do like Q&As and kind of hanging out with a smaller community. So don't forget to join my Patreon. That is patreon.com/thisisjen. And you can be part of that community and support the work that I do. All of the studio stuff like that is thanks to your Patreon support, that Shady and I no longer look like we have been kidnapped and sent to the Andromeda galaxy. So again, Instagram people, I will make sure the mic is not falling down next time. And you can always join us on Facebook, Dead to Me. You can listen to the beginning of this podcast to find out why. YouTube and Instagram. And then, of course, this podcast will be published on all podcast apps. iTunes, I use Overcast to listen to my podcast. Wherever you follow your podcast, we will publish this here in just a couple of hours on those podcast apps. So this has been episode 63, a lovely time. Shady, you can hit the exit music. We're so fancy with all of our equipment here. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back next week with you here on the This Is Jen podcast.